Hi everyone, welcome back to Paper, Scissors, Wool. I recently got a new rhodia goalbook, which I haven't started using yet, but I am going to be using at work very soon, probably on Monday. So let's take a little bit of a tour inside. As you can see, it has the sort of typical rhodia orange in the elastic band, and there's 2 ribbon bookmarks, which is good. So this one, it seems like it's rhodia's answer to the bullet journal. Basically, they're trying to appeal to that, to bullet journalists. So they're calling it the customizable organization notebook. It has dot grid, it has numbered pages, which I love. It has an index, and it has perpetual calendars. And this is interesting, we'll take a look inside, but it actually has 2 different perpetual future logs, essentially. So that's really interesting. It is a roughly A5 size. I don't think it's exact. So here's my Scribbles That Matter current notebook. And you can see, well, I'm not sure if you can see that, but basically the height is just like a centimeter or 2 taller. And as far as width, again, it's like a centimeter or 2 wider, which when I was sort of flipping through it, was really quite noticeable, the bigness of the pages in a way. So it's 5.8 by 8.3 inches or 4.8 by 21 centimeters. So not exactly A5. I think it's funny how they report, there's the French and then the English, and they report different stats on the French side versus the English side. So there's 240 pages on 120 sheets is the index. There's 2 perpetual calendars, ribbon bookmarks. It's 90 GSM ivory brushed vellum paper, and this is made in Clairefontaine, France. It is a French company, Rhodia. I had to look it up because I wasn't sure if this was leather. It actually feels a lot like leather, but I wasn't sure if it was vegan or not. It is actually faux leather, so vegan leather. It feels really good. I like it better than the vegan leather on the Scribbles That Matter, which just feels kind of, I don't know, fake and plasticky. This is a lot smoother and has less sort of static, which is good. So there is the book band that comes with it. There's not a lot, nothing inside. It's not like a moleskin where sometimes you have extra material. But you can see there's dot grid. Yeah, there's that. It does have the Rhodia logo on the front and then says goalbook, and then plain on the back. When you open it up, there is the accent orange, and there's the staff member who did quality control on my notebook. So you get your inner pages orange. It's orange on that side too, and then you have your page for writing in your name and personal details. Then we go into contents. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 pages of contents, which I know a lot of people don't like because they either don't use them or they don't use that many. I do use my contents pretty heavily, but not 6 pages worth. I think even in my Scribbles That Matter. I do plan to use this notebook for work, which for work I do actually use more of my contents pages. Now, just a quick note about that. I really don't actually like having 2 bullet journals. I use a bullet journal at work and one at home. I don't like it at all. I don't want to have 2 different journals. I really prefer to have everything in one place, which is what Ryder recommends anyway. I'm not allowed to take my work notebook home. So my work notebook stays at work, which means it's less functional as an everyday bullet journal. Obviously, so yeah, need to have 2 different journals in that case. And the one I've been using currently, I've been using it since I think March, is a Leuchtturm. Not the specific bullet journal Leuchtturm, but just a normal everyday one. And I have enjoyed it, but I did initially notice the ghosting that happens with that paper, with Leuchtturm paper. That bothered me at first, but now I don't even notice it, so it doesn't bother me too much. But I thought I'd try a different notebook this time around. So then we jump in. Basically, there's a kind of a Calendex perpetual calendar here. So you can see it goes from January to June, and then July to December. So that's a 4-page spread. Now that's very similar to what I've been using so far for the second half of this year, since July. In my Scribbles That Matter, I created basically a similar Calendex. The only difference is that I put in a mini mini square calendar. So this will be nice. I guess it's dedicated pages. Normally I try to make my calendars as brief as possible because I feel like it's a waste of pages to have too many calendar pages, but I don't know why I think that way. I guess I'm not sure, for example, that I'm going to use this notebook for an entire year, so it kind of doesn't necessarily make sense to have an entire year's future log in here if I'm only going to get 6 or 7 months out of the notebook. But we'll have to see about that. Another thing to say is that I haven't been using a future log in my work notebook, and I am kind of regretting it. I think that it might actually be helpful for me to build one in future, but I guess the reason I left it out was because I thought I would use my future log in my home personal bullet journal as opposed to having 2 different future logs going on. But now I have a lot more responsibilities in my job than I might have had sort of earlier in the year. And so it is good to know, to be able to plan my future months out. So I am happy about having this Calendex in here. Now, what I was surprised to find was when I flipped that page, there's another Perpetual Calendar. So you have the Calendex, which takes up 4 pages, and then you have, I don't know what these ones are called, but another 4-page calendar. I've used this in the past in my bullet journal. Basically I didn't think that I would need dates and everything, so I just wanted to write events and tasks, but I switched to this setup because that wasn't satisfying for me. So it's kind of actually funny that both are in here because I think I might actually use both. So that'll be basically events and meetings can go in this one, and then I can do sort of tasks and goals for the future months in this one. And I think that will actually be really helpful at work. So after December, you flip the page and basically you have a blank page here with the rhodia label on it, or logo, but there's no page number, and with the calendar you haven't had any page number for any of those. So no page number and no dots on this page. It's just a useless page essentially. And then page number 1 starts on the right-hand side. As a left-handed person, I suppose I prefer for the pages to start on the left-hand side because it doesn't make sense to me to waste a left-hand page, but whatever, to each their own. The world is made for right-handed people anyway, so I get left out. Okay, so yeah, basically you jump right in. Things I've noticed about this are that the page numbers are kind of actually quite big in comparison to the Scribbles That Matter or the Leuchtturm that I've been using. And the dots, they look about, I think they're about the same size, basically. Yeah, they are. The squares look like they're about the same standard size that you would expect, but the dots are actually quite faint. I'm not sure if you can see anything at all. Now I've made it all fuzzy, but yeah, they're relatively faint dots, whereas the page numbers being quite big, and I think they are also a little bit darker than the dots, so they're very visible, those page numbers, which I like. I think that'll work for me, and relatively faint dots, that's good. It's kind of an off-white, not quite yellow, but more on the orange spectrum, I suppose. Off-white cream color pages. It goes all the way up to the end, where that last page, the numbered page, is glued to the back orange page. I don't know why they do that, but whatever. And then you have kind of this is actually kind of it's a little bit of a flimsy envelope, to be honest, at the back, but that's okay. It has the fold out bit, that's it. Essentially goes straight to the back, so there's no like pen test or anything, but I might do one anyway. The goal book, I was a bit intrigued to find that they've called it a goal book, but it's not actually, like, it's a bullet journal. Like, call it what it is. There are a lot of goal books out there, like Kiki K does goal books, and My Goals obviously do a lot of goal style books. And by calling it a goal book, I actually thought that there was going to be more in here that was structured around goals, which I don't want. Like, I want a bullet journal. If you buy the Rhodia goal book, it is essentially a bullet journal with a built-in contents page, built-in Calendex, and future log in 2 different formats, essentially. So there you have it.